You know what's going on.
Government
They
man.
do not want you. We're about to kill gravity. We're about to kill their god, gravity, and they don't want that.
Towards the
Here we
center.
go. Here we go. From the beginning.
Gravity has been the thing they've been holding on to from the beginning, and it's just an effect of electricity. It's the draft left over by electricity. Everything is expressed in motion. All motion expressed in waves. All waves were curved. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So the greater the action, the greater the reaction. The greater the reaction, the greater the resistance. The greater the resistance, the greater the curvature. Because the universe is based off of equanimity, which Einstein left out in his theory of relativity, the balancing side of the gravity was caused by electric force. Electricity is always seeking a higher pressure condition. It spins northeast, is trying to get to the center of an area, the center of a cone. But the next electric wave is coming, so it gets pushed out, and as it's pushed out, it gets to the vortices. And that's on those pieces, those vortices. Now, instead of it spinning northeasternly, centripetally, it's forced to spin centrifugally, and it spins southwesternly. And it expands itself out, it decays, it keeps decaying until you get 4 magnetic waves that hit each other at 120-degree angles. At that point, they reconvert back into the electric field, and then they make their way back to their source again. Like if you picture dropping a pebble into a pond or a pool, everything expands in these longitudinal waves,
Right.
perfect spheres, unless there's something else in there. But when it hits the edge, it all starts bouncing its way back. And when these returning waves meet expanding waves, that's when we get our first geometry. So this is the proof that the universe is not infinite, but finite. Because you could not have shape without the returning waves, and the waves would not return unless it was bouncing off of the edge of something. Einstein left that out of his equation because he coupled electricity and magnetism together and didn't realize that electricity was the equal and opposite of magnetism. Electricity being the contractive field. You breathe in, that's a contractive thing. You breathe out, that's a magnetic thing, a radiative thing. But they use the term magnet as an attractor. But to magnify something means to what? Make it larger, increase the space. That's the work of radiation. It's the electricity between the things that pull them together. The Coulomb force that supposedly opposites attract and push each other away. If that was true, then hot air and cold air would seek each other out. They're the same substance, but in a different state. They move in opposite directions from each other. Hot water and cold water move in opposite directions from each other.
If you're right, so many people are wrong.
Everyone's wrong. Oh, well, the universe backs me up. And I have the proof of it. You have all these physicists that's saying something different, but none of them have 97 patents. None of them have introduced a new form of flight with unlimited mid-air bonding. None of them have discovered 4 supersymmetrical systems. This is what we've done. This is what the collective is able to do.
So let me ask you this before we stray away from this too much. The concept of gravity. So if it's all electricity that's causing these forces and it's all outside in, when the Saturn V rocket is escaping Earth's atmosphere, what is it fighting against?
What that's fighting against is the rotation. Remember, there's a centripetal spin that's taking place with the Earth.
Right.
And there's an electrical field that's generated from that. That's that centripetal spin that holds things inside. That's what it's fighting against. That's that electric field.
And we're calling it gravity.
We're calling it gravity. You can't go out there. They keep talking about going out there. That's like you try and go that far away. That's like taking a starfish from the bottom of the ocean and bringing it up to where we are. Everything expands. The nitrogen expands too much. That animal dies. You won't even have a spaceship or a suit on that's strong enough to keep your body together, and you will never be able to come back to 93 million miles away from the sun because everything will have expanded and you will expand to the point of vacuity. We will get crushed in a second. It's like being pushed to the bottom of the ocean immediately. You will get crushed immediately. The pressure conditions change as we move from the sun. But science have neglected that because they've said it's a void there. And they don't account for that higher pressure condition, but they found that radioactive decay is quicker closer to the sun, near Venus. You don't use power to go from one place to another. You decouple from the electric pull. You decouple from the Earth, and guess what? The Earth pulls away from you at its speed. You decouple from the solar system, it pulls away at its speed. You decouple from the galaxy, it pulls away from you.
So one of the things about this whole back engineering thing that you keep hearing about with UAPs, the back engineering, is gravity propulsion systems. Is that there's a system, this is what Bob Lazar talked about, there's a system that uses a stable element called element 115 that was just theoretical until they discovered that it actually exists in a particle collider in the 2000s. So he was talking about this in 1989. And what he's saying is that there's some sort of stable element that gets bombarded with electricity and it creates this gravity wave.
That you can do that, or you can just, like with music, use a discordant tone. And those tones will push away. There's a particular tone that the Earth is on. There's a particular tone, the key of A. It's 432 hertz, the Schumann resonance. All you have to do is have the opposite tone to that, and it will be pushed away from it. You don't, the same way a bubble at the bottom of the ocean doesn't use any energy to get to the top. But because it's completely in opposition to its environment, the environment pushes it away. That's what you do if you're an intelligent race. You can use an oar. If you're trying to swim across the ocean, you can get across there, but an intelligent species, like Alan Watts said, will use a sail, and they'll tack and make their way across. So you just use the equal and opposite forces of tones. So if you decouple from them,
then you have no force pushing you through, and you can essentially travel instantaneously to anywhere if you have the right frequency.
The right frequency. It's all frequency.